this street of squats where I lived, we had one of the houses we designated a party house. And so when the boss was away, which he went away quite a lot, anything that was left in the shop, we'd clear out on a sort of Saturday evening and set up in this party house, which was like this little tiny terraced house on this street of squats. And so that's how I met people, I think. That schoolhouse party in Willesden was the beginning, and I think then we'd end up at a few parties after that, and it would be like, turning the music off at 6 in the morning in some sort of squatted house. It's like, what do we do? Why is somebody turning the music off? Maybe we should get a rig. We don't have to turn it off at 6 in the morning or whatever. I asked my grandmother for a loan of £1,000, which is like loads of money actually. And I was like a bit dubious and built up the guts to ask her, but it was with a business plan. And the plan was Xander was going to get a bank loan and buy a rig, and I was going to buy the decks and a mixer and a mobile phone. I really wanted a phone. And and that all came off. And so all of a sudden, and that's right, and the where I'd been squatting beforehand, at one point being very entrepreneurial, I guess, we'd rented out our party house to some guy called Ben. And through that contact anyway, it was him that was selling his rig. So that was the rig that we bought. 2 brand new decks and a mixer and a mobile brick in a case. And the idea was we were going to sort of put on parties, and then when the weekends when we weren't putting on parties, we were going to hire out our rig, which actually never transpired because it was far too busy being used. Anyway, so at that point in West London, we bought the rig, and it came with a van. It was like perfect. We didn't even have to sort of buy transport. So we got the rig, the van, the decks, the mixer, and the phone, and it's like, right, we're going to have to find a place to put a party on. And literally around the corner from where we were all squatting, which is, I can't remember the name of the road, but you had Chippenham Road, Waterton Road, it's the road across the top. It's quite a big road in West London. And we'd spotted this shop. Anyway, one night we all kind of entered into the building from behind, and it turns out it used to be a nightclub. It was like there was mirrors all over the place and a little tiny DJ booth and everything. It's like, oh, I think we found our venue here. And there we go, we put on about 2 or 3 parties there. So I guess that was kind of the beginning. Obviously we had this brick mobile telephone as well, but that was bloody useless. Because like the battery would last about 5 minutes. So you could like take 3 calls and it's over. Which when we hit the road was just useless, wasn't it? It was like put the generator on to charge the telephone. It's ridiculous. Hello, Spa Drive, can I help you? Yeah, quite often. I mean, I think I spent a fair amount of time at Debbie's flat. It kind of turned into this little office, like with it had a photocopying machine that someone had given us or something. And yeah, we'd quite often end up around there, or there'd be meetings there or something. So yeah, there was a kind of like, there was somebody on the end of the phone, yeah. Or in that instance, no, for going to the party, this was like I'm talking about during the week, when the party was on, there would be an answer machine message saying, get to wherever. I'm pretty sure it was just a meeting point, but I think, yeah, it was always a meeting point, because it would have been far too on top, I think, to actually just have the address on the end of the answer machine, giving it away. There would be someone there kind of waiting for critical mass, I guess, or just, directing people if they looked okay. Someone would be there just telling them where to go. I'm kind of making this up. I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. Maybe I read that's what happened. But I was obviously at the venue, busy doing something. I mean, obviously we're kind of a mishmash of people that all came together with different strengths and qualities and to bring to the table, undiscovered probably at the time, but we had Mark with us, who's like a brilliant graphic artist, and I think perhaps like the brains to know that a kind of symbol or a logo or whatever was going to be our was going to be the way forward. But he was very, very serious about creating the look. I mean, him and Debbie together, they would spend hours kind of painting backdrops, you know, creating symbols and things. I mean, there was one party we did where, I mean, I lost interest rapidly because it wasn't really my thing, but I think it was we'd gone over to Holland. But anyway, we were in this kind of warehouse with all these pillars, and Mark decided that we wanted to put all these branches up there, painted fluorescent yellow, sort of, so it looked like there was loads of trees coming out. And that's what happened. It was like a very, very big warehouse, and a lot of twigs and a lot of painting. But yeah, the look is always very important. Just to create an environment, you know, to transform the environment, to, you know, create your future. Really, you know, to make it, you know, that you've got the power to sort of make it look nice, rather than just being dank and miserable. Transformation, I think, was the word I was looking for. I think sometimes, yeah, I think we did actually. I mean, it's, you know, free parties. I mean, no one was turned away if you didn't have any money. But I seem to remember it was 5 us in. I mean, we had to, you know, exist. None of us was really, like, none of us were signing on particularly, or we didn't have any income. So I think it was like 5 us at the door or something like that. But money was just, you know, essentially to make enough to get to the next party. I mean, that's all it was, and it's like hopefully there would be enough or something would turn up. It wasn't the driving force at all, making money. It was just a kind of means to literally put on the next event. Get some paint, petrol, repair a speaker, or yeah, we ate a lot of vegetable curry. Years of vegetable curry. But yeah, it was a very communal pot. No one was making any money from it at all. There was no hierarchy as such. There were no leaders. Everyone had something to bring to the table, whether it was, you know, designing the flyer, answering the telephone, finding the next venue, painting the backdrops. You know, there was a myriad of things that were happening. The goal was to put on an event, and everybody's strengths played to that. Yeah, I mean, it was never about the fame or the fortune. There was nothing like that behind it. I think, you know, with what I was saying before, the cosmic alignment, as it was, you know, the timing, lots of people having grown up in the 80s, didn't know, you know, maybe feeling a bit apart from society, not kind of, you know, all of a sudden found a place where they were accepted for who they were, they could be whoever they were, and it was really, really powerful. I think everybody just felt a sense of belonging. It's like, oh yeah, this is where I'm meant to be, this is who I am, this is great, you know. And I think that gave it, you know, a huge, I can't find the word, a huge momentum. We are going to stay up all day and all night, and we are going to keep playing music. Yeah, I mean, it evolved, definitely, you know, with sort of the musicians that kind of came into the tribe, and, you know, felt at home there and felt it was the place they wanted to be. So that kind of helped create the sound, you know, the sound, the visuals, and and it's still going strong. We got some deal with Big Life. I think they thought that we were the new Sex Pistols, and they wanted to give us some money to make some music. And we were like, okay, is that selling out? Oh, I don't know, there was like a huge debate at the time. But we thought, fuck it, they're gonna, advance us some money, we'll get a studio and then we'll fuck off. Which is kind of what happened, actually. So that's how the studio came about, and that was sort of set up in the back of a showman's trailer with Seb and Simon in there working on the Spiral sound. And then I can't remember, I don't know how that happened either, but I ended up rapping on a couple of the tracks. Still waiting for the revolution, by the way. Come on, chop chop. Everyone was taking ecstasy, acid. I think those were the two most prevalent drugs at the height of the scene. Kind of moving into it throughout. After that, obviously it took a turn, but definitely ease and trips were fused with the music, with the energy of the people. A massive equal part, if you like, to everything that was there. Well, because we were obviously really poor, sort of scrapping money together to sort of put on the event. So we would rely on friendly people that turned up to our parties, obviously to sell drugs. I mean, but not in a dark and nasty way. I mean, people would, everyone was probably, not everyone, there were certain like very small time drug dealers, if you like, whether they'd admit to that now or not. So we would kind of hang around them. It's like, look, it's like, don't you want to give us like some drugs, a bit of an exchange, you're bringing that bit to the party. How would that would just be as and when, I think. You might just have one really goodie and half a trip in the morning or something, or I don't know, can't remember. I think we were living it at this point, so there was no sort of Friday to sort of Sunday. We were, probably still at it on Monday afternoon. I can't remember really doing much sleeping. The days rolled into each other. I remember at Castlemorton, which was, so it was 92, and you had all those thousands of people descending at the party, at the festival, and it was like, oh my God. I mean, obviously millions of people, thousands of people remember that as like this really amazing rave. But myself and Debbie, I can pretty much speak on her behalf, we kind of did a tour of the site thinking, oh fuck, this is going to come on top, and just starting to sort of see, you could always sort of see the end. It was approaching, people, with the drugs, the music was a kind of mishmash. There's lots of different things going on. So it was, it's like the end is nigh. It's quite a depressing sort of time, I think. Sort of communal high and then kind of moving into a communal low. To sort of find, where is all that, sort of magic gone and that sort of feeling. Yeah, well, weren't living. We had a truck which had the rig on it. The bus came later. I mean, the first summer, nobody actually had anywhere to sleep. We were just kind of rolling. I mean, sleeping under the truck, or not sleeping, or kind of crashing out in friends' campers if they'd arrived with a camper van or something. We didn't actually have a bus. That came later. That came, I think, perhaps at the end of the summer. But it was a real kind of fusion of inner city rave meets sort of New Age travellers. I don't even know if they were called New Age travellers at the time. But we felt really comfortable amongst that. And I think the general feeling, I mean, obviously there's exceptions, but I think the general feeling was that their festivals were getting a bit down and boring and kind of the same old thing. So we kind of came along and fused. I mean, not just us, there were other people doing it, like DIY, for example, but they're coming and just like the new music and a different energy and all that coming in. And I think, whereas kind of the travellers on a drug front were probably doing loads of speed, loads of smack, obviously not everybody, I mean, just talking about their heyday had been and they were kind of on a bit of a come down. This came in and sort of brought new life into those free festivals that were going on, and more people. Brought people that had, again, like myself, that didn't even know about these free festivals. So made lots of people aware of those. Brought people out of the cities into the countryside, and it was a kind of marriage of the two scenes, if you like. Well, it was kind of mystical, I guess. I mean, it just felt, for me, it just felt right. Felt kind of comfortable. I felt kind of, connected with with who I was, where I was. It was like, this is where I'm meant to be, kind of beneath the stars, on the ground, out there. That's how it felt. You just felt connected, reconnected maybe, but connected. Personally, I was really not aware of what was happening. I mean, it felt 100% right, and this is what we should be doing. I mean, but I think for me it was very innocent. It went into very innocently. It was only kind of slowly, sort of, because it felt so correct and so right. Then obviously having these confrontations and initiating such a reaction from the police, it was like, hang on, I don't get this. What are we doing wrong here? What's the problem? Apart from, maybe a bit of noise, but quite often in these places we weren't actually disturbing anyone. You're in a kind of, either in a disused warehouse in the middle of nowhere or out in the countryside, and they were coming along with things like, oh, you've got no health and safety. It's just like, look, we're in a field. It was an empty warehouse as usual. We were in there creating the space, setting it up, and I think the party went ahead because it was Bank Holiday Monday. So I think we'd set up on the Saturday, went on all the day, the Sunday. Then come the Monday, the police moved in. They had a JCB, they had battering rams. They kind of bashed in the door. I mean, I was asleep actually. I was asleep at the back of the warehouse in a trailer. I remember waking up, thinking, oh, something's not right, and just seeing all these policemen kind of running in and ravers running and everything. It was like, oh my God, what the fuck has happened? And then it's like slowly we kind of jumped into, had to find out what was happening, and it was complete chaos. We were trying to get on the phone, trying to kind of call up radio stations and stuff like that to kind of make them aware of actually what was happening there at that moment. But there was a complete news blackout. It was very, very strange what happened. I mean, they were trying their damnedest, I think, to bring it to a conclusion. I mean, there was one in Cornwall it went on for 2 weeks, so there must have been thousands of people that were there. It felt like thousands of people. It could have been anything from, I'm just plucking numbers out of the sky now, I've got no idea. Hundreds, thousands. But it's very hard because, it was once they throw in that drugs thing, and drugs are illegal, and, you kind of on a, crash course to sort of nowhere, because you have to not mention the drugs, even though they're, a massive part of everyday life for everyone, whether they're legal or illegal. I think it all happened so quickly that, critical mass arrived at the Common, but it was on the 6 o'clock news anyway. So on the 6 o'clock news on the Friday evening, it was literally, oh, there is a massive illegal rave going on at Castlemorton Common. So what is anyone going to do? They're going to go to it for Anyway, so it all went on. I think we were there for about 6 or 7 days. I definitely still remember being there on the Wednesday afterwards. People were leaving. We were clearing the site, cleaning up all the rubbish, bagging it all up, keeping the music going, which some of the travellers didn't really like, but it was just like, well, that's what we do. And I left. I got back to London, and then I got a phone call saying that when they'd all left, they'd all been arrested. Basically, the tribe as such, and some other people. And that was the next day. Police turned up at the office, and just took every scrap of paper. I mean, there were kind of all kinds of ramblings from everyone, bits of paper, flyers, because they just took everything out of this flat, took me to a police station, analysed my handwriting. You know, they were doing all kinds of kind of crazy. It's like, we're going to find something. It's like, what are you going to find? I don't know. What are you going to find? What have I done? So, of course, no one had organised Castlemorton Common. I mean, it went down as being one of the most expensive, you know, court cases. Obviously not ever, but I think it cost about 8 million quid or something in the end. Everyone, you know, 2 years later, everyone's found not guilty. And but the criminal justice bill is passed, and nobody's allowed to gather listening to repetitive beats anywhere ever again. Apparently they do, though, now, even though it's illegal. I see temporary autonomous zone as a temporary zone where you can come and be, and without judgment, without criticism, without anything really, just to come and be and experience and see and express. That's how I would see that. Well, yeah, it must be. I mean, I've not become aware of the actual phrase temporary autonomous zone. I mean, apart from that guy that took all the photos, it's like Taz, isn't it? I used to see that on Facebook or something. But I didn't even know what it meant. It's only really come into my consciousness lately, to be fair. But yeah, I guess that's what was happening. So I understand it because I recognise it as something that I've been a part of. But yeah, if it's got a label now, it's like we are going to create, it's got you know, I guess there's too much emphasis on it in a way, whether it could happen like that. You know, someone sets up a club called the Temporary Autonomous Zone. I mean, it's like, you know, you've got, it's too much organisation. I suppose it should just happen naturally, organically. But there, I mean, you know, who knows? There are probably things like that happening around still.
So let's go back to the police. How many of you did they arrest?
You know, everybody's still at it. Everybody's still making music. From, you know, Spiral Tribe, obviously there's no sound system as such anymore. But everyone's still making music, working together, playing out, doing events. Now based in Berlin, putting on Freaky 23 parties and events. There's been SB23, Freaky 23. There's quite a lot of things happening. And as far as what, I mean, it's just, I don't know what it's showing. I don't know. That, you know, you might stop the party, but you can't stop the future. Well, I guess we've changed our worlds, so I suppose we've changed the world a bit. I mean, we're all changing the world. You know, we've changed our own world, so in essence, we've changed the world, but then everybody is changing the world, aren't they? By living it. I think, you know, I see it as like a cosmic alignment. We weren't the only people doing that at the time. I mean, there was all kinds of groups and posses and collectives that were kind of, you know, felt the force, as it were, and tuned in, and you know, there was all the radio stations, there was all the sound systems, there was all the crews kind of doing it in their own way. You know, like anything in this world, I suppose one lot might get singled out, but everyone was at it, you know. We are all connected, you know, we are part of this one living, breathing organism, and we can't function without each other. separating us, splitting us up, dividing us, is getting us, you know, what does that do?